Hi, I'm Tim Parry, Senior Content Manager at Multi-Channel Merchant, and I'm with Ken Burke, the founder and executive chairman of MarketLive, and we're talking here at IRCE 2013 about some of the trends that are going on and what we're seeing at the show. Ken, you've seen obviously a lot of your clients here at the show so far. What are their top concerns as we are heading into holiday 2013?
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. You know, the first thing our clients are struggling a bit with is Amazon, and Amazon has really been this juggernaut over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years that have really been eating up the market, and slow but sure. But now it's really starting to have an impact. They're growing 36% year over year since 2007 versus the industry growing at 12%. They are now the destination. Amazon is the destination where people start their search engine searches, as opposed to Google when they're shopping, which is interesting. It keeps growing and growing and growing. So our merchants are trying to differentiate from Amazon, trying to add tactics to their sites, and then we have a bunch of tactics to talk about there, certainly, and for holiday to grab that traffic as opposed to having people just start on Amazon, right? So it's a big focus. That's certainly number one. And also, just to throw out a stat from our last year's survey, that 1 in 4 customers actually bought at least one gift from Amazon. That's 1 in 4 of all consumers shopping on the web. So again, you know, how do I make my store stand out? They're really focused on standing out this year.
I was actually going to ask you about that then. What are the big things that your clients are asking for, and like what are they looking to do to make their sites a little more competitive to be able to stand out against Amazon?
Absolutely. Well, the first thing is content. And you start looking at content, how to differentiate the site based on a branded experience. And that's the key. The key is a branded experience, and that's communicated through content, through loyalty, through customer service, and through social. Those are the 4 pillars that I look at, and our customers are looking at in order to differentiate from, and so they're really focused on. One real simple thing is social login. It's huge this year. I'm getting request after request, both from prospects and from our customers saying, hey, I want to add social login. But then after that, what comes next? The other thing I'm seeing that's interesting is social loyalty. I'm calling it social loyalty, which is this idea of creating loyalty and loyalty programs around the social interaction. You know, a refer a friend kind of thing, get a certain point or a certain dollar off or a special coupon or something. So that seems to be a big thing this year, and that's just kind of emerging in 2013. So I think that's going to become bigger and bigger. And then certainly the integration of social into the site to make the site more alive, more interactive. What are my friends doing? But you're informing them actually on your site. So they're not going to Facebook to find this out, they're actually going to your site to find it out. And functionality around that, and we're big into this. This is an initiative for us certainly in 2013 to continue to move this technology forward, but I'm hearing our customers wanting that as well. So it's pretty interesting.
Now, something you wrote about very recently for us is about the mobile shopper and how to attract them. It seems that the mobile shopper is using their smartphone in the store to shop to showroom, but they're not using it to actually make a transaction.
Yeah.
What are the things you think? What are the steps that need to be made so the consumer will start making that?
Well, here the first thing that I would advise merchants on is you've got to keep up with mobile technology. So things such as gesture-based movements on the mobile system. What I'm seeing is a lot of folks are actually letting their mobile sites now. They did it 2 years ago, and they haven't done anything to keep them up. So I'm a little bit concerned that the industry is getting a little bit lax on keeping up with the technology. That's the first thing. So just gesture-based frameworks so that you can actually work through the mobile site. Merchandise mobile site differently than you merchandise your website, so that it's merchandise and talking to the individual merchant. Screen scrape technology, not so great these days, and I've seen a lot of that come and go. So a lot of that screen scrape kind of stuff is going. A lot of people are moving into the responsive design area. I would caution, so on that area, it makes things easier in some cases, but you still have to do some things for the mobile user that's unique and special and different. So you have to keep that in mind. And then finally, wallets is probably the most important thing that I'm seeing on to get that conversion up, because conversion is very low on mobile when you pull out tablets, right? Talk about tablets separately, certainly, but when you're talking about just the smartphone device, you're actually seeing conversions very low still. And until we get wallets really acclimated into the system in a big way, because they're really not right now, I think that's important as well. Also, discounts. One of the things that we see is that when a merchant does a discount and it's specifically targeted at mobile traffic and conversions go up. It is still, and what's nice about mobile is it can be timed appropriately, and it can be it can incentivize them at a different level than maybe the website can. So there are some things you can do there.
Now, what are consumers now looking for in the online experience, and what can merchants learn from listening to their customers?
Well, merchants are, merchants are looking for an experience. I mean, I think to specialty retailers, the people that we talk to, because I think they're looking differently at Amazon or other mega sites like that versus maybe the vast amount of specialty sites out there. And I think they're looking for an overall experience that holds them into the site. And again, I think it's on those 4 pillars. Content that continues to be meaningful to their life and it has them coming back whether they're buying something or not. In-depth of both product content and non-product content, but I don't think even the level of product content, although it's gotten so much better, is still where we need it to be and still where the merchants need it to be. I just recently bought a laptop as an example, and it's a high-end, very expensive Lenovo laptop that you would think that would be a plethora of information on the Lenovo site. I had to dig and dig and dig, go to 5 different sites before I could make my purchase decision because I couldn't get all my information from the one site. And that's on on a provider that or on a shop that you would think content is very important on because they're selling a high-end piece of merchandise. So I think that's certainly important.
What about the front end and back end integration? Are you seeing a lot? It seemed a few years back, your front end of e-commerce was just completely separate from the back end, but are you seeing a lot more where the front end and the back end are now working together to make sure that there's synergy and they're getting that customer experience? You
know what's interesting about it is that I'm seeing a lot more of a focus on the customer and the customer relationship and what it takes, because to be competitive in today's world, we know we need to do that. I mean, that's not new information, but I am seeing organizations start to shape themselves around the idea of whether we have to be competitive on fulfillment because Amazon is great at fulfillment, right? We've got to be competitive on customer service. We have to be competitive on merchandising and the offers. It all has to link together. And I think more merchants are getting very smart. They are understanding that concept. But it's a rallying call around the consumer that I'm excited about, because it gets me excited because that's the rallying call that I'm actually seeing people, and that's the right thing to be rallying around, in my opinion anyway.
Now, a big legislative decision coming up pretty soon, the Marketplace Fairness Act.
Yeah.
It's going to pass in some way or another, but how do you feel about the Marketplace Fairness Act, and what are your customers telling you about that? And is this something you see as a fair thing or unfair thing to small and medium-sized businesses? Well,
I'm conflicted on a couple of things. One is, do I think it's fair? Yes, I think it's absolutely fair because everybody paying the same amount of tax appropriately. For a lot of years, the .coms, the smaller merchants have been getting a huge break in order to grow their business, and they've in part grown their business based on that. That's been a mentality that's been built into these sites and the pricing strategy. That has been an unfair advantage to the smaller merchants. I mean, it is what it is, right? The bottom line is that the larger stores, the larger merchants who have always been charging tax, Amazon Amazon's behind it in part because they're supporting it in part because they're going to benefit from it because it's going to crush all the small and medium-sized folks. So if I was a .com today, I would be very worried. I'd be worried about what built my business. Search engine traffic, which is changing every day and becoming a lot more complicated, number one, and this tax thing, which really did give them a competitive advantage, which was somewhat unfair for 10 years or 12 years, 15 years, and today that's being corrected. So I can't say that I don't support it, but I am concerned about what it's going to do. It's going to absolutely affect the small and medium-sized businesses. There's no question about it.
Okay. Well, Ken, thank you so much for taking the time out to speak with us today at IRCE 2013, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you.
All right.